Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 2 of the Featured Presentation Podcast, live from Signal Flow Studios. My name is Zup. I'm a musician based out of Cleveland, Ohio, and I've recently been collaborating a lot on my music. I created this podcast to deep dive into those collaborative endeavors, and most of the time it's me featuring other artists, but sometimes I'm the featured artist, and in this case, I am. The song is called I'm Still Makin It, and it's by Leach. It's produced by and features Monea and, of course, myself. Mark joins me on the podcast to discuss how a rapper and a country singer have been making sweet, sweet music together over the past 12 years, writing for other musicians while living in Nashville, creating a new sound, and, of course, our song, I'm Still Makin It. So, sit back and relax, unless you're driving, and buckle up and enjoy your featured presentation.
I might be playing in a dive one night. Next week I'm across the world. It's the nature of this life, but I'm still making it.
Mr. Mark Leach, thank you so much for joining us on the Feature Presentation Podcast. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to sit down with you. I feel like you and I never really get to sit down and talk too much, so it's good to have this opportunity to do so.
Yeah, we trade a lot of texts back
Correct.
and forth, and we see each other in the studio, or we don't. This is the first time we've ever seen each other in the studio.
That is very true. And we have collaborated a couple times.
Yeah, we just share files.
Yeah, yep. That's the day and age we live in, But it's good to sit down with you. For the people that might not know who Mark Leach is, spill the beans. What's the 411 on Mark Leach?
So I grew up in Barberton, Ohio. I was down in Nashville about once a month for 5 years, and then ultimately made the move down there, and then lived there for about just shy of 6 years, and then moved back when COVID hit. But I've been putting out music, and I was a writer down there, wrote with a whole bunch of different people, and just toured around playing shows, and was in the industry for a long time.
Did you enjoy writing for other people, or were you much rather write for yourself, do your own music?
I didn't mind it, as long as the song was good. I knew that going into it, what either somebody was looking for or what they were looking for, who was cutting at the time, and the kind of what vein you were trying to gear it towards, which is nice because it kind of makes you check, to see how good you are in this one genre, and then, maybe it's a pop country or maybe it's a rock country, and then just trying to study those different elements, and that's just how you become a better writer.
Yeah, for sure. Was it excuse my ignorance, because I don't really know how this works. Were there some instances where you were writing songs and then kind of presented them for other people, or was hey, we need a song like this, write this type of song?
We need a song like this was more often, but there would be a time when I would write a song in the room. I would think I was writing it for me, but the person in the room would be like, hey, by the way, so-and-so, this happened to me one time, a song on one of the albums I ended up putting out myself because he never cut it, was I loved the song, and they're actually, Sam Hunt's cutting right now. We're gonna throw it his way.
Oh.
And then he held it for years, never did anything with it, and I was like, can I get that song back? That's how it is.
And it's funny because you're the one that got me hip to Sam Hunt. I remember you sending me his stuff yo, you would like this dude.
Mm-hmm.
And you were right. And I feel like he was kind of the beginning of what is kind of going on in country now, I would say. This mix of hip hop country stuff.
Yeah, I have a big problem with that.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, because he already did it.
Correct.
So, if he's already done it and you're trying to write what he's doing in that same style and do that and, claim that that's your style and you're planting your flag in it, he already planted his flag. He already walked on the moon.
Oh, yeah. And that was how long ago now?
Yeah, 2013.
Yeah, sounds all right.
So over 10 years ago. So if you're trying to do that, you're already behind.
Mm-hmm.
He's already finishing his race and you're just starting it.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
I feel like that's just how music is in general. There's always game changers that come around.
Mm-hmm.
There's that one person that comes out or one band that comes out that does something so different that everybody loves and latches onto. And next thing you know, everybody sounds like that,
Yeah.
I used to have a big problem with Post Malone because I felt like he was trying to be Future and all these other rappers that were doing this type of style, because Post Malone came out with that White Iverson song and I hated it. I'm like, oh, this is so bad. But then I felt like he kind of came into his own and like started, doing the music that he eventually got more popular for. And I was like, okay, you found your lane. I can't be mad at the fact that you got into this industry by trying to kind of sound like somebody else. People might disagree with me, but that's how I feel. Like Greg loves White Iverson. He's like, that's my shit, and I'm like, I can't.
Greg also loves like the worst Fall Out Boy album that they ever put out.
Yeah, that's true.
He's like, I listened to it and I was like, this is terrible. And he's like, that's my favorite album. I'm like, well, then you should just stick with whatever it is that you're doing.
Greg and I, we get into arguments about his style of music. That's okay, Greg. And funny story about, go ahead, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, Greg is a mutual friend of ours.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And we didn't know either. So we'll go into how you and I met, right? Yeah. So my parents' neighbor, their niece, you actually were dating their niece. And I think what probably happened was I remember the neighbor telling me like, so-and-so's dating Mark and he's a country artist. You should listen to his music. And I'm assuming that's probably what happened with you too. Where they're like, oh yeah, the neighbor makes hip hop music or whatever. So we were like both listening to each other at the same time. And then we both like reached out to each other at the same time.
Yeah.
Which was, to me, that's going back, 2012 or whatever. And that was before it was how it is nowadays, like with the country and hip hop and stuff. So like when you were telling me that you enjoyed my album and my music and stuff, I took that as a huge compliment because it's like, I didn't know you at the time. And I'm like, this guy, he's a country artist. What does he give a shit about hip hop for or whatever, So it's like, yeah, of course, I want to make the people that listen to my genre of music happy, but to hear somebody on a completely far out genre at the time be like, oh, this is good, was like a huge compliment. So I appreciate that. Yeah. And now knowing you and, knowing your music and everything, it's just a huge compliment anyways, because you're an awesome guy and awesome musician. So.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to be a musician, you can't just be, well, I play country music and I don't listen to country music and screw you if you tell me differently, America.
Yep.
It's like, no, like if you're going to be an artist in any capacity, you have to be willing to appreciate art and whatever it is.
I agree.
That's just my...
No, I agree 100%. I mean, I listen to movie scores sometimes while I'm driving, it's like you're not going to better yourself if you keep yourself in a box, what you listen to, because that's all you're going to know. I mean, that just goes with anything. If you stay in the same place for too long, that's all you know is that place without wandering off and experimenting with different things or listening to different things. Like, you can't grow,
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a lesson out there for you kids.
Being scared also helps growth. I remember when I was little, I was like 7 and I was wrestling and I was in the, part of the school wrestling, and my brother came to one of the wrestling matches and he paired me up with literally the biggest kid in the room. And he was like, go wrestle him. And I was like, looking at him like, are you joking? This kid is massive. And he's like, as soon as I wrestled that kid though, every kid my size, like nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you can stretch yourself to a point where, it's uncomfortable, then it's like, you're going to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You know that saying? Yep. And that's where I think really creativity lies, in that era,
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You just made me think, how did you fall in love with music? Like, was there an album or something that you used to listen to when you were younger and you're like, I want to do that?
I was all over the map even when I was little. I mean, it was like I would walk around the house singing She's Got the Rhythm and I Got the Blues, Alan Jackson, and Achy Breaky Heart. But the first cassette tape I ever bought with my own money was Little Richard.
Nice.
So I was always just a fan of everything,
Yeah.
Yeah, what about you?
My parents listened to a lot of music. My parents listened to a lot of Fleetwood Mac and like Michael Jackson and the Carpenters, and I used to just like, my mom would have like little cassette tapes and I would listen to them before I'd go to sleep. Like I'd put the little headphones on back in the day, the Walkman headphones, and
the foam.
Yeah, the foam ones, and I'd fall asleep listening to it, and then just kind of got obsessed with just a radio, like 92.3 was huge when we were younger and stuff. And I would just record myself or record them all the time and re-listen to songs. And yeah, the first album I ever bought was Soul for Real, Candy Rain. And my first hip hop album was Fuji's The Score.
So what was the song that made you be like, I'm going to be a rapper?
I've said this on another podcast before, and this is really embarrassing now. This is really terrible.
Was it Marky Mark?
No, I wish. It was Puff Daddy back when
no.
he did.
He's probably a big fan of yours too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Back then he would have been for sure. It was Come With Me.
Oh, I bet it was.
I can't make this shit up. Jesus Christ. It was on the Godzilla soundtrack.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah. But anyways, I heard that song and I was like, I could do this. Oh, that's so embarrassing, but whatever. It is what it is.
Man, that is a great story. You can't, man.
And the podcast I did, shout out to the Guiltless podcast, I did that interview, and before the interview came out, it was like right when all this shit started happening. It was like the same week, and I was like, oh, this is real bad timing. But yeah, that's the truth. I listened to a lot of Beastie Boys, though. Like, Beastie Boys definitely gave me the confidence to, like, that I can rap. Because their raps were just, like, not simple, but, like, there wasn't, like, a lot of substance to what they were saying. They were just rhyming words. And I mean that in the most positive way ever. Beastie Boys are my favorite. They're always number one on my Spotify rap every year. But it gave me that confidence, like, oh, I can, like, write. So I started writing through that. And then the more deeper meaning stuff I started listening to, I was like, oh, I can actually tell stories through my lyrics and everything. And yeah. Yeah, P. Diddy, man. Yeah, he was Puff back then.
P. Diddy.
Oh boy. Anyways, but yeah, so I met Greg just through music, and he was like filming with Genius Films and stuff. And then when he was filming your stuff, I was like, how do you know Mark Leach? And you guys went to high school together or something, right? Yep. So I was like, man, what a small world.
Yeah, I remember I was wearing a Taking Back Sunday t-shirt in the hallway in high school. And Greg came up to me and said he would buy it off of me. And so I took it off of my body in the hallway and just sold it to him right there.
Oh, damn.
In the hallway. And then we were in our first ever band together. Yep.
What was the band?
I came in with like songs, and they were like, this guy's already got songs. We should just let him in the band. And then that's how I got my foot in the door.
Nice.
I was the Post Malone of that's. I just got my foot in the door with the songs.
Right. And then, yeah. What was your guys' band name?
Black Rose Hill.
Hell yeah. That's a great name, though.
Yep.
Any reunion shows coming up that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we, I don't see it happening.
When you started doing like solo stuff, or just even when you started getting into country music and everything, where were you recording like locally before you moved?
So my buddies owned they still own it. It's the Rialto Theater.
Oh, yeah.
In Kenmore, off of Kenmore Boulevard. And it was, well, I guess technically before they had that, they had this house that they were recording out of. Great story. We were recording my first ever EP in that house. And I remember standing behind Nate as he's mixing one of the songs we were working on. It was a bunch of people over. They were having like a Halloween party. And I was standing behind him, and I had like my head resting against the wall, and I like looked up to my left, and there was a bat staring directly at me. And I tried to just be calm, I just like tapped Nate on the shoulder, and I said, hey man, there's a bat on your wall. And he goes, what? And he turns around and looks, and then he freaks out, to then which the bat freaks out and flies all over this house party. People are diving under tables, and so we moved from that luxurious studio to a rundown studio on Kenmore Boulevard, which, if you're familiar with Kenmore, Ohio, it's actually where David Allan Coe's from. But it was, still is pretty, you don't want to be walking at like 2 a.m. by yourself.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. I think there still is a studio in Rialto Theater, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Because my DJ RC3, his buddy I think he records there and does stuff there. But I haven't checked it out yet. I should.
Yeah, no, they do a lot of hip hop music there.
Okay. So moving back from Nashville, was that kind of an adjustment like during COVID times?
Yeah, because if you're out of sight, you're out of mind down there. So if you're not in everybody's face all the time, you're easily forgotten because there are 1,000 more of you down there. You know,
That's got to be a stressful thing. I don't think I would like that environment. You got to be like built for that type of environment, I feel like.
yeah. And when I was down there, I was going hard with it. I was like, they've got a program called GPS, which is so you have ASCAP and you've got BMI, CSAC. They're like the Coke, Pepsi, and Mr. Pibb of, you know, they all do the same thing.
Right.
They're
not the Baja Blast.
They're not the Baja Blast. No. Shout out to Baja Blast.
Mm-hmm.
Baja Blast. And they pick like their top 10 up and coming songwriters. So I managed to get in that group. So basically they just shop you around a publisher or a couple publishers every other week. And then you sit down, they pair you up with their writers. It's a good way to get a publishing deal. So, I mean, I was really going hard with it. And a lot of people that were in my class were coming up like through the ranks. You know, we were all just kind of in the same class. It's like high school. And a lot of them now are, you know, winning awards and
nice.
see them on TV. And but kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier with like, you know, Sam Hunt already did it. And, you know, like, I don't know, name an artist out right now. If they have a different sound, like I would say Zach Bryan, but he basically did what Bon Iver was already doing. He just apparently just made it big doing it. Anyway, but like down there, nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody knows. I don't care if you are in the industry and you're watching this or listening to this, you don't know what you're doing. Just be honest. Because like guys like Luke Combs, who's massive now, right? I remember seeing Luke play all the time. He was playing at Tin Roof on Demumbrian, and he was playing Hurricane so many times. Like, he would hop from bar to bar to bar playing this song. Nobody's paying attention to him because he didn't look like, you know, a Riley Green. He didn't have that poster boy, you know, male model figure.
Right.
But his voice was undeniable. Like it's, you know, but everybody in the industry was like, yeah, you know, I don't know. But then finally he blows up with Hurricane. Then everybody in the industry is like, we knew it the whole time. I'm like, you're full of shit.
Yeah,
you didn't know anything.
That's got to be so frustrating.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, man, that's just like.
But I got off on a tangent. It was frustrating coming back because then I was like, I knew what was going to happen, and ultimately it did. But it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, everything happens for a reason and stuff, and that you know, it might not show itself right now, but it will eventually, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like, for example, you're working on stuff and you have all the walls are down, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, I've known you for a while now, so probably 10 years based off of a little bit over 10 years. And it's like, I feel like this is the most excited I've seen you like about creating music and stuff. That's got to be a good feeling, you know?
Yeah, because there's nobody telling me what I can and can't do. You know, if it's like, well, if you want radio to hear it, and it's like, well, if you want publisher to listen to it, if you want this label to, you know, give you an eye, it's like, I don't give a fuck about any of that anymore.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want.
Yeah. I was just talking about this on the previous podcast, so sorry for anybody, the two people that listen to this thing.
Shout out to you too.
Hey, Submit Hub. I think, did you and I talk about this before? Mm-hmm. And they deny me a lot, you know, for like just a recap of Submit Hub. You buy credits, you take those credits and you put them towards different curators for different playlists on Spotify or whatever. And they have different, you know, you kind of like, oh, this song sounds like this. You pick artists that it sounds like and try to find a lane, you know, oh, it's R&B, it's a little bit of pop, whatever. And then they kind of try to pair you up with curators that have playlists that could fit that specific thing that you were saying, right? And I get denied a lot because my music is never straight whatever. So there was a song, I See You See Me, that I put out, and it's kind of R&B, and it's kind of pop, and it kind of feels a little bit of hip-hop. and I got denied by Pop Playlist because it was too R&B. And they told me, you should submit this to R&B Playlist. Then I got denied by the R&B Playlist telling me it was too pop, saying that I should submit to Pop Playlists. And then, like, you know, if you put hip hop in anything, a lot of these people don't want to touch it. You know what I mean? So sorry about this song if you ever put it on Submit Hub. But, like, you know, so anyways, I remember I came here to the studio and I told Chris Nicola, I was like, I want to, like, make a song. I need to start, like, making songs that are straight in this lane. You know what I mean? So we started working on this one song back in October, and I just went in last week to, like, add vocals and do more to it. And I just said, fuck it. Like, I can't just stay in one lane. Like, if I have an idea to make it sound like this, then we're just going to do that and fuck these playlists, you know, because I'm not going to, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I'm not going to give up on my art because I'm trying to succumb to, like, a couple playlists that are going to get me, a few more streams on Spotify, like, and then not be happy. I'm never going to put shit out I'm not happy with, but, like, if I knew that I could have made this sound a lot better, you know, I don't want to deny that to myself or people that do enjoy my music. I feel like the people that do, like, the real people that love my music know what they're getting, you know? So I don't know. Now I'm going off in a tangent.
No. I agree. I think for me, I mean, you've got to hear a lot of this new record I'm working on. And so I think the people that have loved music that I put out, I feel like some of them are going to be like, what's going on here, man? Like, you know, and, but really it's just because it's like everything before was like, whatever it was, 5 songs, 10 songs, everything had a cohesive element to it that made it all specifically this genre. I was talking to the guys producing this record, and it's
Can I say their names?
You gonna say which name are you gonna say?
I was gonna say, well, I got both of the guys.
Oh yeah, you can.
Shout out to Hey Monea.
Tenderhearted Rascals.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
I was waiting to see which one you were gonna say. But Dan and Nate Monea, very, very talented guys.
Absolutely.
Super humble. I mean, these guys, they will downplay it so much. I'll be like, remember that time you guys opened for Springsteen in London? And they'll be like, yeah, but that was so long ago. Nobody cares. Like, I still care, man. Like,
yeah.
That's still cool to me.
That is super cool.
But they, you know, going into this album, I was like, whatever they're doing in Nashville, I don't want any part of it. So if you have, like, in mind that we're going to be making a country album, get that out of your head and let's just make a really good, solid album. And we'll figure out what genre it is later.
Yeah.
And we still don't even know. There's elements all over the map. So it's just, but we're happy with it. So
what I've heard so far, it sounds like you are you, but, like, upgraded. So, like, not upgraded in, like, you weren't good, now you're good. That's not what I mean. Like, upgraded in the sense of, like, now you're getting, like, these different things to it that just kind of builds on to already how good you are, you know? But it still feels like you.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah.
I think that's what everybody hears.
Me, when being a fan of your music too, like, I wouldn't listen to this and be like, oh, what the fuck is this? You know, like, go back to the old shit. That's not how I felt listening to this stuff. It just felt like, damn, like, this dude just keeps getting better is what it sounds like to me.
Oh, thanks, man.
So
and that is because you are trying something new.
Yeah.
Like, it's what we go back to what we just talked about.
Yeah.
You know, stretching yourself, you know, doing something weird. And then if it works, great. I mean, Dan and Nate are great about that. I'll throw out an idea and, you know, sometimes it won't stick and we'll all laugh about it. And the worst case that happens is that it doesn't make it into the song. Best case scenario, it's an awesome idea and it opens up a million other possibilities.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're just like, oh, well, let's keep trying off the wall ideas.
Yeah. God, that's such a good feeling. That's, like, the best feeling.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad that's
like one of the ideas that we had that didn't work was I was like, well, what if we brought in Zup to rap? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And then he brought it in, and then we didn't want to hurt Zup's feelings. So we're just like, oh, this is great, man. This killer job.
Yep.
And now we're stuck with it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, so when this podcast comes out, my verse is already cut out. You just got a podcast out of it. I was going to do that. There's this dude, I'm not going to say who it is, but this guy, I was going to ask him to be on a song and have like tell him it was like 2 verses long, right? Like this long ass verse, and have him write all this shit and then just cut it and just not tell him, and then put the album out, and then he'd be like, "Where the fuck is my verse?" But I couldn't do it. Oh, that's funny. All right, well, let's get into the song. I mean, before we go into the song, I just want to say, like, this is our 3rd time collaborating together. Was the first song Blue Lines, or was okay? So the first song was my song Blue Lines, which was, I love your hook on that. It was great. That song means a lot to me.
Yeah, I recorded that in Kenmore.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
nice. That's right. And I was recording with Brad, so I think you just like flew it over to Brad, and he put it on there. That was fun.
Yeah.
And then the second one was the Dreamin' remix.
Yeah.
How did that come about? You just wanted to do a remix of that song?
Yeah, I mean, I was listening, I was playing it on guitar, and I was like, he could easily throw a rap on this, because it was the way that the beat was and the way the song flows and everything. I'm like, this would be great, because there's a regular version and then there's the remix. And people still bring that song up. Like, I'm like, it was however long ago, 12 years ago, and people still talk about that song. I'm like, well, that's good.
I like the story you told me that when you were doing it live, you would just do my verse too, which I was like, damn, I wanted to see you up there rapping.
Yeah.
And now we got this song, and I'm glad that you asked me to be a part of this song, because I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not happy with my verse on Dreamin'. After I did it, I was like, I could have done that better. Like, I think I was too much in my head about it. So now I felt like the redemption is here. Like I got the verse that I wanted on Mark's.
And obviously, it was a joke earlier. He absolutely crushes this verse. I mean, it's everything. If you had a nutshell of 30 seconds you could listen to that describes what this song is supposed to capture, he does it in this verse. It's crazy.
No, man, thank you. Well, let's walk him through it. So how did this all come together, this song?
So I'm Still Making It is the name of the song. And the idea came about because I was flying to Montana for a show, and I was sitting at the airport with my guitar, and everybody always wants to talk to you if you have a guitar. And so this old guy was sitting next to me, and he asked me what I did, and so I told him. And he didn't mean anything by it. He just said, oh, you never made it, huh? And then you just kind of give him a sympathy laugh, and and you just think about it. And I was thinking about it the whole flight to Montana. I was like, not to, no, I was like, no, not to be cocky though, but I'm thinking, these 6 strings and writing songs it got me so many places, like around the world, around the country, in front of a lot of people, friends with a lot of people, opportunities that it afforded me it's crazy. And so I wanted to write about that, where it's not like, you may not see my face like at the award shows or hear me on the radio every 3 seconds, because Lord knows the radio can't play anything else unless they're getting paid to do so, or else you get bumped. Shout out WQMX. And so it's like, you may not see all those things, but I'm still making it in a, it's all subjective, honestly. And that's what the song is about. And so you and I had traded texts about the idea, and I was sitting in my truck, and I was like pounding on my fists, like on the center console, and the chains was rattling to give myself percussion, and started singing what I thought the chorus would be. And, ended up taking the idea. We're working on a Boyz II Men-esque song on the album, this new album at the time. And I told Dan and Nate, Monea, I said, hey guys, I know we're working on this song right now, but just like hear me out. And I started singing this one, and I was like, and then we bring Zup in for a rap and whatnot. And we started doing the song, and it was like trying to catch a chicken. Like, it was like we were so close every single time to what we were trying to like encapsulate in this song. And then every time we would get so close, we'd be like, that doesn't work. Like, why is this not working? And then finally it started to just slowly but surely come together. And then that's what you get.
What about it was like the hard part, I guess? Like, that's interesting to me.
Well, it started off with like an idea of like, Patrick Stump and Lupe Fiasco's This City. And then
that's right. I remember you said
to like a Panic at the Disco. And then just like different that to do all those things, you need to have those production elements in place. And so we tried and failed at a lot of different production elements until something finally started to click. And then out of nowhere, I was like, guys, you know what this needs? Let's get an Irish fiddle player. And this dude from Wales, his name's Rodri McDonough.
Hell yeah.
I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He just absolutely crushes this fiddle solo. And it was like, to me, one of the coolest parts of the song, next to the rap. But yeah.
No, that fiddle was incredible. When you sent that over, and I had to add a couple extra vocals here for you. We were listening to it, me and Chris, and he was just like the whole time. And then when the fiddle solo came out, because this was just the bare bones where he just played fiddle over the whole song, and then before you guys cut it and everything. But when he had that solo, he just was like, I think I was in the booth, and he just like tapped in, and he was like, bro, you have to have a solo on here. He's like, yes. Like, he was just loving it, I'm like, yeah, dude, it's good. And it just like, when those fiddles come in, it just kind of like, it just takes you like to another place. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, like pockets of like memories that are just like popping up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just picturing like, I don't know, wherever you're at listening to the song, and all of a sudden this fiddle comes in, and it just like opens this like portal to this like, other place, and then goes back in,
Yeah.
It's so good. It's crazy. I know what the process is for me, starting with a demo and then eventually getting to the goal line. I love watching that with other people too. And I don't often, and I appreciate this, so thank you. I don't often get to see that whole thing come about when I'm like featured on something. It's usually like, here it is, write a verse to this, and that's it. But you kind of like kept me along for the whole journey, and it was awesome to just see it unfold every like demo or mix that you'd send to me. And I'm like, oh shit, like I could hear like, oh, they added this on here, and oh, they did this, like it's just great. Cause you listen to it the first time, like the first demo you send me, I'm like, man, this shit is great. You don't need to do anything to this. Mm-hmm. And then you hear the next thing and you're like, oh shit, like I'm glad they did this. And then it just keeps going. And so when even the last mix, the final song, I was like picked up on little things that were added. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm glad that's in there. That's so good.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a lot of producers that it's like you're writing it as you're recording it. So it's like you can come in with a work tape, and that's what I did for a lot of the other songs on this record. It's like, well, this is the bones, this is the structure. Now all we had to do is you lay the scratch and you lay the final pieces and all that, and then you're done, out the door, good day. And then this song was like, this is all I have. And then I went in the booth and was basically writing the verse as I was in the booth. Like they would just keep looping it. And then I was like writing the verse as we were doing it with Dan. And Dan's like, well, what if you did this instead? What if you did this instead? And then we were basically creating this thing out of nothing. And it ended up being awesome.
Yeah. You said that that wasn't the first time you've done that, but like you just...
It doesn't happen often.
Yeah. You just weren't like expecting that to happen. Because I think you sent it to me. And you're like, I just wrote this right now in the or in the booth or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just when we had the conversation about it and stuff, it's just like it's such a relatable thing to me too, because you're right. I mean, I'm not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like I'm making music, but I'm not like on this huge scale, you know what I mean? And I'm very well aware of that. But there are people that look at me and go, dude, like, what a wild life you live, and you don't think about it. You just kind of get used to it after a while. I mean, I am like, my calendar is just filled with shit all the time, like, okay, normally sometimes it's like podcast Monday, band practice on Tuesday, recording session on Wednesday, then Thursday is like the one day I get with Alicia, and then Friday I'm doing something else, like I got a show or something. It's just like, it keeps you moving. On top of that, at least for me, social media. I'm always thinking about what do I got to do on social media, all this stuff. It's like a full-time job for real. And I think about all these wild things that I did. like, I'm going to be playing at a Taco Bell parking lot. I know that's silly, but that's like, not everybody can say that. Nobody can, playing at Nautica on this big stage with Cleveland behind you is like such a cool thing. And, to me, having people reach out and say, like, man, like I listened to your song and I was crying today, like, or you made me cry today because I listened to the song, and it's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's like, no, I needed that, like that's the stuff that makes me really think about it. Like, oh my God, like I get to like be this vessel. I get to take terrible things that might have happened to me and write them down and put them over music, and people can be like, I get that. I relate to that. I put this song on whenever I'm feeling this kind of way, and I do that. And like, even if it was only one person that told me that, I'd be like, shit, I'm doing something right. Like, this bad shit that happened to me for a reason, because now I can help this person out, or whatever the case is. And that's kind of how I wanted to approach my verse, because I haven't traveled and done all these other things, you know what I mean? And I didn't want to also repeat what you were saying in your verse, I just kind of want to be like, this is what's making it for me.
Yeah. And we talked about that too, kind of. I don't know if you were in the room. I don't think you were there that day, but we had talked about, like, it could be anything. It could be you're a single mom and you're giving your kids the ability to get a good education and put food on the table and a roof over their head. You're still making it. And that's kind of the idea of this song. It's not just about musicians. It's like, no, do you live in a, 6-figure house? And it's like, no, but you're still making it as a good mom or a good parent. If let's say you're struggling to pay the bills, but you're still going to work every day and you're still trying your hardest and you're still, doing what you can to keep your head above water, and you're doing, great health wise, and you're still making it, man. Like, you still are waking up and, and appreciating what you do have, and realizing, no, you know what? I don't care if I don't have what, Joe Schmo next door has. Like, I'm still making it in my own lane here. And that's, yeah.
Yeah. And that's super important for people to really think about, because it is so easy, especially nowadays with TikTok and whatever, people are looking at other people's lives all the time and always wanting to be like everybody else, but it's
such bullshit.
It is. I hate it. I hate everything about. I always say, I hope that like there's an attack on America, but it's like
whoa,
like a cyber attack, in the sense that they just cut off all of the internet. Just somebody please drop an EMT, whatever, EMP blast.
Please drop a medical service person.
Yeah, drop an EMT on us. But no, like, wipe out the internet, please, is what I'm trying to get at.
Well, then our
podcast would be nothing. But you know what?
We wouldn't be able to get gas. We wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
How would you go to the bank?
We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out.
Don't
later.
Listen to him.
I know. I said that.
If you work for the ambulance company, don't.
Yeah, you know what? Never mind. The ambulance company. Yeah, my one friend's like, "How are we gonna play Xbox together?" I'm like, "I don't care."
Greg.
Our friend Amelia.
Oh,
but I was like,
Amelia.
Oh, but Amelia. There you go. Damn, where was I going with this now? Oh yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in other people's lives and stuff, and you forget. But I mean, that example of a single mother, I know so many people that, at the time you don't understand what your parents are doing for you, but when you get older, you go, man, my mom sacrificed a lot for me, or my dad sacrificed a lot for me. And that's a good way to look at it.
Yep.
Good stuff. Trying to think what else about the song I wanted to ask you. Oh, voicemail.
Oh, good question. So there's a voicemail at the end of the song, and I learned this voicemail trick from Zup, because if you've ever listened to Zup's albums, there's always like a voicemail on there, and they usually mean something, to him. And so I had saved this voicemail from my best friend from high school. Shout out to Stephen Cherney. I saved his voicemail from 13 years ago. And I don't know when the lightning bolt to the tip of the penis idea hit, but it was like listening to the mix, and I was like, oh man, what if I put that voicemail in this song? And we ended up putting it at the end, and we didn't even like time it. I mean, it was like the way that he spoke in this voicemail fits the beat so perfectly.
Oh, you didn't have to chop it or anything? Oh my God.
How he talked is actually how it is in the song. And it's 13 years old. So
That's fantastic. And it's funny that you said that because when I was listening to the song the first time, I already know that there's going to be some people that know my music that is going to think that's Swerve, who was on my first album talking about being drunk in Kent. Because the way he talks kind of sounds like Swerve, like, hey, man, you know what I mean? But I guess we'll never be friends again, you know? Like, so when I heard that, I'm like, man, I love this so much. But I guess that does go back to my love for voicemails and voice notes.
Yeah, no, I accidentally texted Zepp and I said, that's a message from the answering machine from like 13 years ago. And he goes, wait, that's from an answering machine? I was like, no, crap, no. Dan Monea kept calling it an answering machine message. No, it's a voicemail, cell phone.
For those kids out there, an answering machine.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Anyways, I think this song is fantastic, and it still feels like you. And I appreciate you reaching out to me to be on this because, you never know. You never know. You throw in a rapper on something that they might not feel like they should be on. Even though listening to this, it feels like there should be a rapper on this. But, like, you never know. You know what I mean? But I appreciate you.
Well, we always had you in the back. I mean, obviously, we knew that you were going to be on this song. So when we were recording and writing the first verse, it was like it has to have a hip hop element to it. But obviously, I'm not a rapper, and so it's like, how do I do it in my way? But then it still doesn't seem so out of left field when we put a rapper on this, because it's like it does kind of fit the cadence of what I was doing in the first verse. But then Zup just takes it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, it feels like nothing feels out of place about it. Like the fiddle doesn't seem out of place. Having a rap verse on there, having country elements on there and stuff, and like, how did it getting the Monea brothers involved? Obviously, having Dan like sing on the hook and stuff, because the first original demo I had, it was just Dan singing the hook, except for the very beginning part. What made you guys want to like have him on there before we added like the group, the gang vocals?
I think it was when we tossed around the idea of putting the Irish fiddle on there and having it almost feel like you're in a pub in the UK, which is one of the lyrics. And
hello, bloke.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so funny.
There's a reason why anyways. But having it feel like you're in a crowded room. And so I was like, originally we tried to do it with just like the voices that we had, and it wasn't enough. So I was like, well, it'd be really cool to have friends on this, because one, we need the voices, and two, because, they had never done anything like it. And so like, I thought that they would think it's cool, and they did, thankfully. And I'm always like, I always forget like that I spend a lot of time in a studio. So when you bring somebody in who's never been in a studio before, they are like, I got so many texts from these people that are singing like in the gang vocal that you hear that are like, well, what do we need? Like, what should we bring? Like, basically, like I told one guy, I was like, dude, it's not a school recital, okay? Like, you don't have to like comb your hair, and like, you can use your phone to look at the lyrics. Nobody can see you. And then afterwards, they all thanked me like separately in text. They were like, man, that was so awesome. Thanks for having us be a part of that. And it was cool for them, but also cool for me to have them on there. And again, we needed that vocal layer. So
yeah, it is funny. You are right. Like, you forget that, like, just because we're in a studio all the time, these other people aren't, When I was recording my For Me album and on my song Better Off, Greg had the idea of doing gang vocals for like one little section. So I had everybody come, and it was like the last day of recording, actually. Well, yeah, it was the last day of recording, and I wanted these people that came to listen to the full album. Like, we're going to sit down, we're going to listen from beginning to end, and after every song, I'm going to ask you, what do you think, And then we can decide right now, do we need to cut anything off of this, or do we need to keep it? And so we did. We went through everything, and then there was like a couple songs I was like, I'm thinking about cutting this, and then they were like, no, do not cut this song, so I ended up keeping it. But then we went in and did those gang vocals, but we like, people brought food and stuff. It was like a big thing, and it was a lot of fun. And I think about that day a lot. That was just like one of those great experiences in the studio, you know, just having like your friends around you, getting them on the song, and then also playing this thing you've been working for a year and a half on for the first time for these people, and like getting judged by it and having them like it. You know, it's like, okay, all this hard work and money was correct, you know?
Yeah. No, thanks for the invite.
Yeah, you're right.
The hell, man.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I know, and you invited me over to play NFL Blitz that one time. I know. I'm a terrible friend.
It's cool. It's cool.
If anyone thinks they're good at NFL Blitz, you're not until you've played Mark Leach in NFL Blitz.
I don't know.
We're
There's really just one. There's one play that works every single time.
the bomb.
The bomb.
Yep.
Yep.
I was at my buddy's house a couple weeks ago and we played, and I was just getting my ass kicked. And then, like in the fourth quarter, he just kept throwing interception after interception, and I just kept bombing it, and I ended up winning. Like in the last 3 seconds, I was like, "There's no way I should have won this game, but I'll never win another."
That's why they call it the bomb.
Did we play regular Blitz or was it 2000?
We played both. Yep.
Yeah, 2000. I like the OG. They're like literally the same game.
There's no Browns in that.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
That would make sense. Oh, but anyways, yeah. Challenge Mark Leach to some NFL Blitz.
Yeah, maybe they can invite me over.
You're right. Is there anything else you want to add about the song?
I don't think so. I hope you just, if you're listening to it, I hope you go in with just an open mind and just like appreciate it for what it is. It's just a fun party song that has obviously a deeper meaning to it. But even if it's just a fun party song for you, then, let it be that.
There you go. All right. Well, anything you want to add? Do you want to, I don't know. Do you want to talk about other stuff that you're working on, or?
I don't think. I think I covered most of the album. Yeah, there's going to be there's a song that's got like a Coldplay feel to it. There's a song that's got a Boyz II Men feel to it. There's one that we're about to start. It's a lot more rock. And then, the AM Days, which just came out in December.
Great
a song that's meant a lot to me for about a decade now. And that's the thing too, knowing when to release a song. You may have a song, let's say you're a songwriter, and you're listening to this and you're like, well, how do I know when to release it? Usually songs, at least for me, they seem to like almost raise their hand when I'm trying to pick, songs for a new album. And it's like, I'm ready. They're like fruit. They're like, I'm ready to be picked now.
Interesting.
And AM Days was one of those songs because when we wrote it 10 years ago, none of us had any, we were not old enough. We were literally just in our 20s in the bar scene all the time. And it's like, this song isn't going to mean anything if we release it now.
Yeah.
But now these guys that I wrote it with, they got kids, they, they're away from them on tour and all this stuff. So now it's like these songs hit home a lot more. So yeah, just knowing when it's right and just being true to you. All my social medias, if you are following on anything, it's just always at Mark Leach, Leach music. So MarkLeach music.
Hell yeah. As far as shows and stuff, you're just kind of just playing out whenever opportunities arise.
Yeah, I play out a lot in 2024, and they're going to be dialed back quite a bit for 2025. Just because I got some other stuff I'm working on.
I hear you, man. I hear that. I love it. Some good stuff too. That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
some great stuff.
Some good stuff. Yep.
Well, good. Well, man, I love you. I appreciate you coming out and
thanks, buddy,
doing this podcast and making this song and inviting me to be on this song because it's great. I love it. I love it so much. I cannot wait for people to hear it. I like to I don't send stuff that I'm featured on, but like I'll play stuff for people. You know what I mean? And this one is one that I'm like kind of like holding close to my chest. And because I want, when it comes out, I want the initial reaction then type thing, and I can't wait. So, which at this point it will already be out. So those people, hopefully you liked it. I know you will.
And maybe it might be one of those songs for people like P. Diddy's Come For Me. was for you.
Oh, fuck. I do want to say, too, the single cover art for this song was a very cold day. That was the day that I came to record my verse in Canal Fulton, and it was a blizzard.
Literally.
And we were eating ice cream.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to get sick from this. And I did. Did I tell you that?
No.
I got real sick. I was sick for like a week and a half. And then I had a show. Like right when I stopped being sick, the show happened.
That was the Kent Stage show.
Yeah, the Kent Stage show.
Oh,
I was
no.
like, and when I get sick, like I get sick for a long time. And I was just like, I ended up buying one of those neti pots, like the electric ones. And I was just like flushing my system forever. I'm like, I think I was probably, I don't think it was because of that, but I'm like, man, I'm outside while it's snowing eating an ice cream cone.
I always thought that was a myth. Or if you're just out in cold weather, like you get sick.
Maybe it is a myth,
I mean, I could be wrong. I could be pulling that out of my ass. It just always felt like a myth. I never got sick just being in cold.
Well, now that EMS is watching this podcast, if you could chime in and let us know if that's true or not.
Yeah. Don't bomb the internet. But let us know about that.
Yeah. Leave the internet alone, but let us know about the myth of eating cold stuff outside. But all right, well, anyways, thank you again, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching or listening, and we will see you the next one.
So I guess we'll never talk to each other again, but hey man, can you call back when you get a second? Alright, bye.